Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by LocalMarketingSource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you your local marketing industry weekly update. Live Q&A will follow the weekly update. Our next faculty to call is going to be next Wednesday, June 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, we don't really have a terms of news. There's been a lot that's been going on over the last couple of months. And in the last week, I did do a presentation on some of the changes for Google Plus Local and the changes from Google Places and the implications for local businesses as well as your local SEO strategy in regards to that. Make sure you get a chance to be able to watch that. Just head on over to my blog. That's scott-gallagher.net. And once you are there, go and click on the blog tab and one of the most recent posts about Google Plus. Anybody that's on the line right now, just give me a second. And we will show the screen. And you just go over to scott-gallagher.net, click on Google Plus Local Changes, and here's your video webinar. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. Okay. LMS students also have access to this content inside the portal with the live Q&A recorded. This public video does not have the Q&A recorded. In any event, Bing has got a local deal with Yelp. It's interesting what's happening now. There's a new race in the local market space that's transpiring. And the race in the local market space, who would have ever thunk a year ago or 2 years ago, let's say, maybe a year ago, would be Google, Facebook, and Apple. Those are two very big names for your local dentist to market themselves. Google, Apple, and Facebook. Well, the race is becoming who's got the bigger index, who's got the bigger database, who's got the more accurate database. The status quo seems to be based off of the United States and how many businesses they have. But we know that there's 23 million small businesses in the United States. We know that Google does claim that their database is around 80 million. Apple is launching their local search later this year, and they claim that they have 100 million in their database. This goes back to the day when Google and Yahoo were in a race as to how many pages they indexed. Well, the more choices you have, the better results you're going to get, and ultimately the audience and then the advertising revenue. Now, along with that, these content providers, which we go to get citations, all have different rankings and different authorities in terms of their trusted data. For example, Superpages in the United States is the #1 trusted source, much more trusted than, say, Yelp or Google. Where Apple is going to lie and where Apple gets their information, they claim that they get it from 3 different sources, and they're very reputable sources. They've had these relationships for a long time for a variety of different products. So this recent deal between Bing and Yelp is ultimately going to allow rich snippet information to be shown within the Bing search engine directly from Yelp. And as the internet progresses and the internet becomes less democratic, let's say, The fact that Google can't crawl Facebook, one of the biggest sites on the internet, the busiest site on the internet, where the most people are, Google can't crawl it. They can't get information about that. Google can't crawl information on a variety of other sites. For example, all the information within Yelp's database. So information is the most important aspect of all of this, and who's got a relationship with who to share this information back and forth. Who's going to buy who to stop another business from gaining access to that information. When we start to dissect the local marketing race from a different perspective, let's say images, the first time in Google's history had they paid, had point of contact, and they've sent out photographers to take images of all their businesses. They give step-by-steps how to do it. They've built a network of photographers around the country. Yelp, his most recent blog post, as a matter of fact, has to do with that, and they tell you all the importance of that and how easy it is, and especially with smartphones these days. Well, why? Because that's what users want. Users like the fact that when they're evaluating a business, they're able to see something. So if Yelp has more pictures, people have a good experience there, they come back. It's that important. That's what it comes down to. It's like Google Plus, Google's social network. This is, I mean, yeah, it's taking the industry by storm, but not anything as to what appears to be on the surface. Does Google really care that people are participating and utilizing Google Plus as a social network? Well, check this out. With the most recent launch of Google Plus Local and the information that's just being displayed on Google Search, some of the most relevant information is being withheld. Get this. You have to have a Google Plus account. Not all results are like this today. They're starting to see this in the last couple of days. Some of the integrated results between Places and Google Plus. This is what's happening. But you have to have a Google Plus account in order to see reviews. Well, Google knows that consumer reviews are the absolute hands-down most influential behavior or influential component or factor in conversion for somebody to make a decision on a local business. Reviews. And they're not showing that information unless you have a Google Plus account. Do they really want you to go and get a Google Plus account to use Google Plus as a social network? No, absolutely not. They're forcing you in every possible angle they can that you use Google for to have a Google Plus account so you are signed in. You are a registered user, just like the single sign-on with Facebook and how many millions of websites all over the internet that have the integration into the single sign-on with Facebook. Everything you do, they collect that information on and build this open social network. Without that information, Google is done as a business, completely done. Within the next decade, if they don't pull this off, they do not have the information to provide quality search results. Businesses like Facebook and Apple will. Companies that never even thought of being into the search world. But it all comes down to information, and organization of information is the pivotal base of this entire information era race. They're all really in the same business, like McDonald's and Coke. They both profit from soda, not burgers. So I'd mentioned that the Google Plus merge from Google Places to Google Plus local pages through the request form that we've been talking about. If you watched that webinar, I gave links to get that request form. This process has started manually through Google. You do get a link, you get a nice email, and you've got to take the steps to get verified. And so Google has set that out. If you've got any questions, they've started a frequently asked questions page in regards to that. We haven't seen any of ours get processed, but I do have colleagues that have reported this. Now, Google has launched a new policy. This is really important. A lot of our businesses that we deal with that we feel provide a positive return on investment for our services are professional practices and practitioners, doctors and chiropractors and dentists. And you always run into the problem as an attorney. You may have 5 attorneys in an attorney office. One attorney founded that office. That attorney office has a brand. The attorney may have different relationships with the founding attorney. They may be partners. They may be leasing space. They may have their own practice internally. They may just share leads. And so how does this all get handled? It's really, Google's terms and conditions have really screwed with all of this. That you couldn't have multiple place pages for one particular location in business. Well, if that attorney is represented under one particular brand and that brand has a place page and they have the same location, how do you handle that? And so Google, with Google Plus local pages, they've been able to come out with the solution for this, for verified owner listings, because there are individuals on there. And so there's a separation between practitioner and practice. I already talked about this here in my notes. It's just this annoyance of Google that's transpiring in terms of requiring to have a Google Plus account. They've got 80% plus market share globally, this company, in terms of search. They've got the integration of search into multitude of devices. It's ridiculous. And so they've got the traffic. And in a subtle sense, they have a sales pitch. Click here to see the full benefits, or what do they say? Sign in or click here for full score and summary. Once you get that, a tab shows up of reviews. Facebook is now starting to show ads based off of your web browsing in and outside of Facebook. Anybody know what remarketing is? Or retargeting, as others call it? Well, this is a step further. So they know where you've been already. Retargeting is landing on a website and then an advertiser following that individual as they go from website to website through the content network, displaying a specific ad. Well, mix up retargeting with paid advertisement based off of web browsing history. You don't have to go, as an advertiser, you don't have to go to the specific sites and say, this is where we want to build a retargeting campaign. You build a retargeting campaign based off of parameters. So if they follow certain types of websites, start throwing them these ads. And give them these ads to every other website that they go to. Give them these ads only when they go to these types of websites, and give them these ads when they go to that types of websites. Do you think that people have different browsing habits based off of their physical location, if they're at the office, if they have an office with a closed door? if they're browsing with their children over their shoulders or it's dinner time. That's what this is all coming to. All right. Oh, that's a pretty picture. Google has, and again, talking about photos, Google has just continued to push content and training and getting businesses to create business photos. We know it represents about 12% of the weight of the local ranking. It's critical. It's a massive factor. It's so important. It's important to the integrity of the data that these companies are listing. And that, I go through my notes, talked about everything else that was in it. And this week update is probably our shortest in the last 12 months, but it is what it is, right? In any event, that's going to conclude this week weekly update for the Local Marketing Source Industry Update. And I will now open the floor to live Q&A.
That concludes this Local Marketing Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is provided from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers. Visit localmarketingsource.com for additional resources focused on online marketing for local businesses.